A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review today, or graphic novel review, so to speak. Today I am looking at Miracleman, actually book 1 of Miracleman. There are 3 books in this omnibus, as well as an absolute ton of extra stuff there. For those of you who don't know the character of Miracleman, it's not surprising. There have been a lot of different versions of him, going as far back as him being called Marvel Man. He has been written by a lot of different writers and owned by a lot of different companies. I'm looking at the Marvel version of Miracleman, which is basically a version of the character that is unfreaking believably good. On the back here it says, the New York Times bestseller that redefined the comic book hero, Miracleman. Now, in book 1, you are going to find out about the origins of Miracleman and the Miracleman family. It is a story that has twists, it has turns. I'm not going to go into a lot of depth, as I usually don't. I just want you to get the story, but the narration by the characters, the dialogue, the writing, the art, the pacing is absolutely top-notch, and I cannot recommend this omnibus enough. Although I will only be reviewing book 1, rest assured, books 2 and 3, as well as the extra stuff at the end of this omnibus, will be reviewed on this channel. But until we do that, I want you to have a drink, if you're of age, of course. Sit back, relax, and just enjoy the latest episode of
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
So this is the Marvel Omnibus edition of Miracleman. Fantastic cover. But today I am just going to go through book 1 of this just fantastic story. And book 1 is, of course, A Dream of Flying. The prologue starts in 1956. We have this fantastic art that is very reminiscent of the time. We have Miracleman, young Miracleman, and kid Miracleman. And here is our villain. He is Commandant Gera of the Science Gestapo, and they have decided to come from the future back to 1956 to take over the planet. Young Johnny Bates here, who is Kid Miracleman, sees them, says the magic word Miracleman, very reminiscent of Shazam, but, you know, that's neither here nor there. And he starts fighting the Science Gestapo, but soon realizes that he is out of his depth, so he goes to get his friend Dickie, who is young Miracleman, and they go to fight, and then Mike Moran, who is Miracleman, comes to the rescue to help them, but they realize the Science Gestapo is just going to send more people back in time, and the armies are just going to get bigger and bigger, even though they've smashed all their ships and knocked out the Commandant. It's just going to get worse. So Miracleman and young Miracleman fly into the future, and they take out the Commandant and the ships at that point so that when they fly back into the past, Kid Miracleman, there's no one there for him to fight. They all just disappeared. And Miracleman saves the day. Now, this might sound stupid that they just fly into the future and they fly into the past, but it is actually quite reminiscent of comic books of the Golden Age and the Silver Age, where fantastic things happen for like no apparent fucking reason. I really, really enjoyed this story. Enjoyed the art. I thought it was really, really cool. We then come to 1982. And we have this truck transporting something. And as it is going down this lonely highway, it gets attacked by someone. We get this image of Miracleman. This is kind of a dream sequence by this character, Mick Moran, who is woken up by his wife, Liz. They've been married for 13 years, I believe, at this point. And he is a freelance reporter. He wakes up with a migraine headache. Liz is like, there's something wrong here. The migraines and the dreams, maybe you've got to go talk to someone. But he's very reluctant to do so. He's instead headed off to this story about a nuclear facility that is being built in this small town. As he's there, the facility is attacked by terrorists. As a reporter, the terrorists want him and the photographers and the rest of the reporters to go into the building with them so that they can report on the plutonium that they are planning to steal, so the world will know. While inside, Mick has an episode due to his migraine headaches. So one of the terrorists is like, this better not be a trick, but I'm getting you the fuck out of here. And as he does so, Mick has this flashback of a word that he can say. In this case, the word is Komoto, which is atomic backwards. And when he says that, he actually turns into Miracleman, thus severely burning the guy that was trying to help him. And he takes out all the terrorists and then flies off. He is Miracleman and he is back. He flies back home to see Liz. Liz doesn't believe him at first, but then looks into his eyes and starts to kind of understand that it is actually him. He tries to explain to Liz all of the memories that he has of being Miracleman with his sidekicks, and they fought these ridiculous villains, very reminiscent of like comic book stuff. And then at one point there was this ship in orbit that they were going to go and stop. When they got up there, there was nothing in the ship except an atomic bomb, and the bomb exploded, killing young Miracleman, Kid Miracleman, and severely wounding Miracleman, who was in a coma and had forgotten that he was Miracleman. He turned back into Mike. At this point, they fall asleep together, and at the end of this issue, we see someone who has seen Miracleman on television, and he's like, he's back and he's going to fucking ruin everything. But we don't know exactly who that is. So she sleeps with Miracleman, wakes up, gets his phone call, and Miracleman has turned back into Mike at this point. And Mike realizes the phone call is from Johnny Bates, who was Kid Miracleman. And he didn't even think Johnny was alive. He thought Johnny had died in the atomic blast. So he agrees to meet because Johnny is now the head of this large, like, science corporation. So they go to meet him, Liz and Mike, and Johnny explains to them how he survived. He was the first one into the ship, realized something was wrong and fled, and then kind of the bomb went off. He didn't think Miracleman survived, and he didn't think young Miracleman survived either. Mike asks Liz to step outside and then confronts Johnny and says, I think you're lying about this whole thing. I don't know why. I think that you still have superpowers. And Kid Miracleman is like, yeah, I do. And Mike pushes Johnny off of the top of the building, which Liz sees, just as Johnny comes back up in his kind of Kid Miracleman form. At this point, Mike and Johnny fight. Mike tells Liz to just flee, and Johnny tells him, listen, wherever she goes, I am going to find her and I am going to kill her, just so you know. And the fight is absolutely brutal. And at one point, Kid Miracleman takes a young child and throws him. Miracleman manages to save the kid, but because of the speed, the kid breaks a couple of ribs, and the mother is like, fuck this, give me my son. And the fight just goes on and on and on, and Miracleman realizes that Johnny, Kid Miracleman, is way too powerful for him. There is absolutely no way he's going to win this fight. He tries to hide. Kid Miracleman finds him, grabs him, and at like Mark 3, slams him into the ground, killing him. We see Liz fleeing in the car, only to be stopped by Kid Miracleman, who is about to kill her, but then Miracleman comes back and the fight continues. The fight is going on, and at the same time, we're getting these people who are talking about kind of what is going on, what is happening, and there's some sort of government conspiracy, government cover-up about these characters. Again, Miracleman is just getting the shit absolutely beaten out of him. And at this point, we know that Kid Miracleman's trigger word is just to say Miracleman. And then he will turn from Johnny into Kid Miracleman. He says it as he's gloating over killing Miracleman, because Miracleman always put him down and saw him as the little kid in the team. But as he says the name, he turns back into Johnny as a little kid, and he can no longer transform back into Kid Miracleman. And it's at this point we realize that Kid Miracleman has been living in his superhero persona for all of this time, from 1963 until 1982. And he has amassed wealth and power, but when he reverts back to his kid form, the child hasn't aged. He's still like this young 9 or 10-year-old boy who now is completely and utterly powerless. Then we get this guy who's known as Evelyn Cream. He has sapphires for teeth, and this government agency want him to kind of clean up this mess, as that is his job. Okay, we move a few months into the future. Liz and Mike have driven out to the countryside. This is all set in England, by the way. They've driven out to the countryside, and Liz has bought a whole bunch of comics so that they can test how powerful Mike is as Miracleman. And then we get this kind of meta thing where it's a few issues ago, the little kid that got thrown at the wall, he referred to Kid Miracleman as Superman. So there's this whole comic meta thing happening here, which I thought was really, really interesting. So they test his flight, his speed, his strength. And at the same time, we see Johnny in a hospital. They are trying to work out who he is and where he came from. And we look into his mind and we see him and Kid Miracleman kind of together. And Kid Miracleman is blaming him, saying, "I'm trapped in here because of you, you sniveling little virgin," and is just putting him down. And Johnny just wants to be a regular kid again. So they test Miracleman, Liz and Mike, by throwing boulders on him and trying to kind of determine what his power source is. Evelyn Cream goes to the hospital where they're keeping the terrorist that initially helped Mike try to leave the nuclear plant but was injured in the process. He masquerades as a doctor, and when he gets there, he's trying to determine which of the news people is Miracleman, purely because all of the terrorists are either hospitalized or apprehended. As Mike and Liz are leaving, Liz reveals to Mike that she is actually pregnant and that the child belongs to Miracleman because she slept with Miracleman when he first came back. And Mike, they're trying to work out if Mike and Miracleman are the same person. They don't think they are. They think they're two separate entities. The terrorist has burst both his eardrums, so he can't hear anything. Dr. Cream writes down questions for him, and in answering them, he realizes that Mike Moran is the person that he is seeking. He had promised Steve that he wouldn't kill him, but he lied, and he ends up killing this terrorist. Miracleman basically goes out and just flies around for a bit before coming home to Liz as Mike, where Liz kind of confronts him about what's been going on the past couple of months because he hasn't really been talking to her. And he admits that he's feeling very self-conscious because Miracleman is so much better than him in every way, and that the baby isn't his. So that means they had been trying for a baby and couldn't do it, but when Miracleman slept with her, she got pregnant. So he's feeling kind of very deficient. So he decides to go to the newspaper to see if he can get some work. When he gets there, his editor lets him know that the government has put a kibosh on any stories about Miracleman and what is going on, which means he has no work for him because he has to give work to his other staffers. So he leaves despondent. As he goes to the elevator, a woman is juggling a baby, and the baby's very fussy, and she's like, "I've just got to get his bottle. Can you hold the baby?" And Mike is holding this kid and having this very nice moment when the man with the sapphire teeth, Mr. Cream, comes up and shoots him in the chest, and he passes out. Okay. So the government organization here are trying to get a hold on things. They realize that Mr. Cream has double-crossed them. Mr. Cream has Mike tied up, and he's trying to explain to him exactly what is going on and what he has been sent to do. And in the interim, we're getting these images of Miracleman heading to this bunker. This is a bunker that Evelyn Cream has been talking about with Miracleman, where these procedures and tests were taking place. And the shady government types are kind of trying to work out exactly what is going on. Miracleman heads to the bunker, takes out the guards, sets off all the booby traps, gets to the front doors. Mr. Cream comes up, and they easily kind of break in. And it's at this point that Miracleman is confronted with their secret weapon, this guy called Big Ben. Big Ben is another superhuman who has no time for crime. That's the gag. Big Ben, you know the clock, and no time for crime? Okay. So, Big Ben and Miracleman fight. Big Ben, at this point, sounds completely and utterly psychotic. At this point, Liz, who is a graphic designer, is trying to do work, but at the same time, her head is kind of somewhere else. And so she's tossing up between what's going on with Mike and Miracleman and her job. Big Ben is absolutely no match for Miracleman, who just bitch slaps him, and he comes flying and lands right at the feet of Evelyn Cream. They get to the bunker, and Evelyn is going to kind of hotwire the door, but Miracleman just rips it off. And when they get inside, they find all this testing equipment and these dead bodies. Big Ben stands back up and goes back to the bunker as the head of the government agency decides, I'm fucking out. I'm going to hand in my resignation. Then we see Mr. Cream kind of shielding his eyes as Miracleman rips some computers apart. They end up watching these videos of tests that are being done, and this is where everything gets really interesting and really fucked up. So basically, I'm just going to skim over this as best I can. I'm not going to get into a whole lot of detail, but the government have taken 3 guys whose fathers were in the Air Force and have died for whatever reason, and they've got no family, so to speak, so they're perfect for testing. They use the alien technology to create these powerful beings inside these people with trigger words that when they speak, they become these powerful beings, only they don't. The powerful being is trapped in this pocket dimension, and when they say the trigger word, the being comes out and the original person is put into that pocket dimension until they kind of switch back. And the reason the British are doing this is because the Americans and the Russians have atomic weapons, and this was their deterrent for the atomic weapons. But it gets so much worse. So after that project kind of was terminated and the main guy who started it took his research, they decided to kind of recreate it, but they didn't have all the data. So this is how Big Ben was created. But something went wrong, and he is literally a psychopath. The issue that they have here is the experiments on Johnny Bates and Dickie and Mike Moran, who believed from 1956 to 1963 they were superheroes. They weren't. It was a simulation. So what you saw in the prologue with the going into the future and stopping the science Gestapo and all that, that was a computer simulation designed to see how far the government could push their ideas of realism. And so all of the old Miracleman stories, so to speak, are in fact these computer simulations that these test subjects have been put through in order to kind of make sure that they can cope with reality bending stuff, which is having a superhero in a pocket dimension come out when you say a word and so on and so forth. This blew my fucking mind. And this is when Miracleman goes apeshit, because he believed that all of these supervillains and whatnot and his nemesis were all real. And then they leave the compound and go off on the merry way. Then we have Owl Woman and who is this dude? Red. What's his name here? Oh, Red something or other. And Big Ben believes that they are his former colleagues, but they're actually just two scientists. And they've put a restraining bolt on him because he was led to believe that Miracleman was a communist, a communist Russian infiltrator who was coming to steal British secrets, and that he did something, so he needs this special mind restraint. In actual fact, it's just a straitjacket. And they lead them to the owl car, which in actual fact is just a truck. And the truck heads off on this lonely road. Now, it was at this point that I was like, hold on a second. This truck is heading off on this lonely road. What happened at the very beginning? Truck on a lonely road gets attacked by Miracleman. Same truck, same convoy. And that is technically the end of the story. But we do have an epilogue where these two cleaners have come to the bunker in order to fix stuff up, like make sure it's all clean and everything's been wiped. And they find the skeletons and they're just like, oh, these are just props. They're really not paying any attention. They find some videotapes. They decide to play them while they're cleaning. They see this and they think, oh, that's just a Superman knockoff. I like the movie. I didn't like Superman 2, though. And then they see Big Ben and they think it's the dude from the old TV show, The Avengers. And then they just kind of go about their merry way cleaning, which was a kind of a fun little tongue-in-cheek way of ending the story. And that will lead us into Book 2, The Red King Syndrome, which I am not going to go into here. I just wanted to talk about Book 1, A Dream of Flying. What did I think of this? I've wanted to read Miracleman for so long, and when I got my hands on this omnibus, I was super excited, and this is absolutely brilliant. It's a fantastic story, a great subversion of what you think of the old, like 1950s Silver Age comics are like, and then how to modernize a character while still staying true to what came beforehand. Absolutely freaking brilliant. Loved every single minute of it. Cannot wait to read Book 2. Cannot wait to bring you Book 2, which will be coming pretty soon, I would say, the way that I have been devouring Miracleman. Okay. If you enjoyed the video, please, everyone, like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all of that YouTube stuff. But most importantly, stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Check out the other videos on Plaguelands Media's website, or YouTube channel, I should say. And please, go and show them to your friends. Share them on Facebook. Do all that stuff. It helps the channel, and the closer we are to 500 subs, the closer we are to me reviewing the most offensive book I own in my collection. And you will want to know what that is. It is completely and utterly fucked up. But until then, just go on and read a fucking book, people.